My name is Nicole Marshall. I am a corporate regional manager for the Siegel Group and a longtime volunteer with the NHLA. So I have up here just a little syllabus of what we're going to be doing today. For those of you that were not aware that this is a two-part class, so hopefully you'll be joining me next week, next Tuesday, same time from 12 to 1 as well. So over this week and next week, we're going to be learning basic Excel. We're going to be learning the control shortcuts, review of the tabs and their functions, how to collapse the ribbon and pin it again, applying cell borders and shading, using AutoSum, creating a simple formula, formatting cells, sorting your data, filtering your data, putting your data into a table, and then showing the totals using quick analysis. On July 11th and July 18th, and all of these invites for the future classes are in the calendar through our website at NHLA. So in July, we're going to be doing intermediate Excel. We're going to go through charts, graphs, and bars, the SUMIF, the COUNTIF, apparently SUMIF twice, creating macros, managing data, the auto filter feature, and cheats for creating with Excel. And then in October, we're going to have an advanced or master class. We're going to be going over macros, pivot tables, index match, filters, conditional formatting, offset, and power pivot. So all of these classes you can definitely sign up for. I recommend the sooner the better. All right. So if there is anyone who joined this class today and you're looking over this basic stuff and you realize you know this, it's not really for you, you can go ahead and drop off. There's no hard feelings. I completely understand. Hopefully you'll join me for the July class. If not, I'm going to go ahead and start. For those of you who have joined us new, please just make sure to mute your microphones. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen that is up. It's an Excel spreadsheet, just a basic one. All right. So what I have here, let me move my bar, is this is an Excel spreadsheet, right? We all know what this is, but I'm going to be showing you today, we're going to be going over all of these function bars and all of that fun stuff that is up there. Okay, give me 1 second. I got to move my screen bar. Sorry, trying to move my bar. It's not working for me. All right. So the first thing I want to do with Excel when I go over with you guys is we want to take a look at your keyboard. With Excel, Excel is a smart program. What I mean by that is there's a lot of things in Excel that it's going to do for you that you don't need to do. One of the first things I like to always tell people with Excel is put your mouse down. Right here, I'm using my mouse to go to different tabs, right? You don't need to. Hit your arrow keys, hit your tab button. It is so much faster. Put your mouse down when you're using Excel. There's also a lot of cheats in Excel that I like to use. One of the things you're going to have is Control-C, and this works in any Microsoft Office product. Control-C is copy, right? You need to copy something, Control-C. If I want to paste it somewhere, Control-V. Control-V pastes. And that is, like I said, true in any Microsoft Office product. So Control-C, copy, Control-V, paste. Another shortcut, Control-P. That's going to get you to your print screen. So instead of going File, Print, you can hit Control-P. Okay. Another one is, everyone's done this. Oh my God, I deleted stuff. What do I do? How do I get it back? Do I close my program and reopen it? Nope. Control-Z. That is your master undo button. That is my favorite button. Control-Z will undo anything. Even if it's more than one keystroke. Control Z undoes the last one, Control Z again, undoes that. So the best shortcuts in Excel, again, Control C, that's going to copy. If you want to copy multiple lines, drag it. This is where your mouse does come in handy. Drag what you want to copy, highlight it, Control Z or Control C. Control V is going to paste that for you. Control P, shortcut to print. And then of course, Control Z is going to undo what you did. Okay. Up here in Excel, a lot of people get kind of scared by this. These are your formatting tools. So obviously your paste, and it's even going to tell you Control V. That's your shortcut to pasting. So you can paste by using the paste button. The reason it's up there, obviously, look, do you see where you can see that this is kind of highlighted and moving? That's telling me that this is still on my clipboard. This is still copied. Excel thinks I'm going to do something with it. But in a Word doc, if you were to copy something, you can paste it, type a little, and paste it again. With Excel, once I start typing in another field, I can't paste again. I hit Control V, there's nothing there. It removes it out of the clipboard for me because I'm done doing what it thinks I need to do. And if you notice, it doesn't give me the option to paste. You can cut, and the difference with cut and copy, for those of you that are not sure, a copy means I'm copying something and I'm going to paste it somewhere else, right? Obviously, a cut means I'm taking it and I removed it. I cut it away from this and I put it over there. Control Z, I'm just putting it right back. Okay. And then of course here you have your copy. And then here you have Format Painter, which we're going to get into in one of the other classes because it's not one of the basics that you're going to use. Obviously in Excel, you can change to any type of lettering you want to do. So, and with Excel, I can make these cells are completely different, right? Until I tell Excel I want them all to be the same or I'm going to do something, every single little box here is separate. So I can make this one Arial. I can turn this one, right? I can change them all. So by highlighting it and changing the formatting, it's only going to change the one cell that I'm working in. Control Z again will undo the last couple things I've done. Control Z will keep working for, 3 or 4. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and go through and mute. Okay. So over here, obviously you have you can change the size. Again, Excel just thinks unless you tell it otherwise, if you're changing a size, you're doing it in one specific cell. Control Z undoes it. Now, if I want to do everything right here in the column, I just click the C, it's going to highlight my column. I can pick the number 12, or the nice thing about Excel is I can just click in there and I can type in 2, right? Then it's going to change what I want to change. Control Z undoes it. If I want to change a whole row, it's the same thing. I have to highlight the number of the row or choose a selection of rows, and then it'll change and only apply what I tell it to in those rows. I could do the same thing with multiple columns. It will only apply it to those columns. Same thing with I can choose just cells within my rows and columns and apply it to that. So obviously you can change your font, you can change your size, increase the font size, decrease it. You can use these instead of up here. B is bold. You want to make something bold. Control B. That's also going to do it. Control B is bold. It's another shortcut that's going to be the same as any word. Control Z undoes it. I can make it italicized, or I can do Control I. And if I hit Control I again, it's going to undo it. Just like if I highlight these and I click and I want to make them bold, if I want to make them unbold, I can Control Z, but let's just say it came to me bold. If I save this document, close it, and go back in and try and hit Control Z, there's nothing to undo because I saved it, closed it, and opened it. So there's nothing that it's going to tell me it can't undo it. I can just click bold again. Once to put it on, once to take it off, or Control B, Control I, and then underlining. Control U. You can underline things. If you notice with Excel, these two are simple, bold, italicized, that's it. Do you see how our little U, right, has a little option? I can underline and I can double underline. Pretty much what it's telling me when there's a little arrow here is I have more options. Just like the font, the arrow says there's more options, the size. All right, then we have our boxes. We have our borders. You can do any number of borders. A bottom border, a top border, left, right, no border, all borders, outside borders. So this is how we get those borders. Because right now, if I wanted to print this, you could see on my print preview, and Excel always does a beautiful print preview, tells me I've got 3 pages. I've got no lines, I've got no borders. So I can highlight everything, or if you click in this little arrow in the corner, it's going to take everything. So it's now saying everything on my sheet, I'm going to apply all of my formatting to everything in the entire sheet. So even rows over here that have nothing on them, if I hit bold, for example, everything is bold. Something brand new that I type in is now bold because I formatted my entire sheet and said I want everything to be like this. Control Z, we're just going to undo all of that. So you can do the same thing with your borders. When I do spreadsheets, personally, I like to take my border, right? I'm going to separate my borders here. I also like to come over here. I'm going to highlight just my field names. Our next box is our shading box. This is how they get the fancy colors. You can pick any beautiful color you want, right? And then of course, over here, you have your font color. Now you're going to notice down here, it says more colors. You can go in and you can play. You can even create custom colors if you want. You just kind of drag and drop this up and down, all of this. But I always say stick to the standard colors. Makes it a whole lot easier unless you're getting really fancy. But you could do the same thing with shading too if you wanted to. So if you wanted to do something on brand and your color was like a teal, right? I have some blues, I have some greens, I don't really have anything teal. I can go over here and I could do my best to find a teal that maybe matches my brand, where it's not a color. And then if you notice, Excel is going to remember it like, hey, you used this color. Do you want to use it again on another sheet? Okay. Control Z, Control Z. And if everyone can please make sure you're muted for me, I would appreciate it. Really quick, we have chat. And it looks like we have a question about sharing the recording. Yes, I will be sharing the recording after the session. I'm also going to be sharing my information if anybody needs to reach me directly. Okay. So we've kind of gone over what these are. And as you can see over here, now we can format our lines. Do you see as I touch these, it moves? You guys can kind of see that. This is just saying, where do you want this to show? We've all received spreadsheets where you have some names over here, right? These are in the middle, this is to the left, this is to the right. To me, that is a nightmare. I can't stand the way that looks. I like everything to look neat and clean. So if this was kind of all, wonky, I could just highlight all of these. I want them to the left. I want them all to be straight. And again, I can choose an entire column. I can choose an entire row, and I can format how I want. Same thing, I can format my placement. Where do I want it? For these, let's just say we're making this spreadsheet. I like those in the middle. I want them bold. I want them to stand out. So now my headers stand out and they're in the middle. Okay. So I want to go over, oops, give me one moment. We have something in the chat. Okay. All right. So we have our insert function in Excel. So we have the home tab. We've kind of reviewed everything on the home tab. That's what I was doing. Now you are going to see, if you go over more to the right, there's conditional formatting. Formatting as a table, cell styles, insert, delete, all of those. And then our auto sums. We are going to go over that, but that's going to be later. Right now, we're just starting with kind of the basics. Okay. So if we go into our insert tab, you can insert your pivot tables and your tables. Again, that's something we're going to be going over later. And of course, if you notice with Excel, if you hover over what these are, it's going to tell you exactly what it is. And then what's very beautiful about Excel is there's the help features. Tell me more. Can you help me? Right? And then for inserting a table, it has a Control T, just like Control C, Control Z for undo. It's going to tell you there's a shortcut for inserting a table. We're going to get to that in a later class. So illustrations is something. If you click on illustrations, I can insert a picture. If I want to insert a picture, do I want to insert it from the device? Meaning, do I have a saved picture somewhere on my computer files? Do I want to use a stock image that Excel has, or do I want to try and search something online? Okay. And then shapes. Here are all the fun shapes that you can insert. Obviously up here, these are my most recently used ones. They show up, but I can insert lines, rectangles, basic shapes, arrows, equation, right? Flowcharts, stars and banners, or callouts. Excel is one of my favorite programs. I think it's my favorite because it's one of the first computer programs I learned to use way back when. I had a boss that just kind of sat me down and said, do it. Kind of like a kid, I wasn't allowed to get up until it was done. So I use Excel to make flyers. I use Excel to do a lot that I probably could use other Microsoft programs for, but Excel to me is quick and easy. So I like the stars and I like banners and I like arrows. And to insert one of these, it's really simple. Like if I want to insert an oval, if you can kind of see my mouse now, went from the standard shape to I have this plus, right? I'm going to go right over here and I'm going to put my mouse down and I'm just going to start drawing. And when I let my mouse go, there's my oval. So now that I have my oval, it blocks my data, right? I can drag it, I can drop it. Obviously, when you hover over these points, it tells me I can change the shape of my oval if I want. But now, if you notice up here, it changed. And I'm in shape format. Because I'm over here, I am now in shape format. So I can format my shape. Right here, I can go to shape fill. I want to fill it with gray. Okay. Now, I clicked elsewhere in the sheet and I came back over here. If you ever get here, don't worry. Click back on your oval, shape format pops up. I can click shape format again. I can have no outline. I can change the weight of my outline if I want it to be thicker. I can make a sketched outline, right? Just have a weird looking oval. I can make it dashes. So it really gives me a lot of options on what I can do with my shape. Let's just say I want no outline. There's my shape with no outline. Shape effects. You can make it all kinds of fun. 3D, we can bevel it, soft edges, we could do all kinds of things. Okay. The other thing, if you're clicking on your shape and you just do a right mouse click, I'm going to get the same things that are up here if you notice. I can do my style, my fill, my outline, and then I can edit text. So I can add text in there. I could save it as a picture. I can do all the kinds of stuff. So that's how you insert a shape. And again, I can drag it and drop it. But for now, I'm just going to delete it. Okay. So again, that was in your illustrations. Again, pictures. You can insert all kinds of pictures. Shapes. You have all of your beautiful shapes. Icons. All right, I close it up. It's going to take me into my icons. 3D models. You can do 3D models, which are nice, and then smart art. 3D models are going to be more into the intermediate to the advanced class. Pictures and shape are probably your most common things that you're going to insert. For example, if you wanted to turn in something and you wanted to insert your logo, if you have your logo saved on your desktop, pictures, this device, I have, right? I've got a logo. Obviously, my logo is huge. I can format it any way I want. I can notice what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the corners and making it smaller. Or if I just click on it, just like the shape, I get a picture format box. And now it says, what do you want to do with your picture? Do I want to remove the background? Do I want to make some color corrections? I can change the color and the effects myself here. Do I want to make it transparent? Do I want to add a fancy border to it? Do you see how I kind of hover over these and it gives me an idea of this is what it would look like? And there's lots of different options. Lots of fancy stuff you can do with pictures, right? You can have lots of fun with pictures. Do I want a border? Do I want to add special effects to my picture and make it glow and soft edges? And it'll kind of, hover over stuff. It'll let you know what you can do. Do I want to add text? Or here's sizing right over in the little corner. I can change my sizing. Oh, there it is. So you can change your sizing that way, or again, you can grab your corners and make them bigger. Control Z. Just like anything else, it's going to go through all my changes. It's going to undo everything till I get back to where I think maybe I liked it better or maybe I messed up with something. Okay. So that is how we're going to, when you go to insert and you have your illustrations, that's the pictures. You can add add-ins where you're going to learn later. And then of course you get into your charts and pivot tables. We're going to get those later. Text. You could do a text box. So just like when I drew the shape, I clicked text box and I kind of picked, and again, I can make it bigger, smaller. I can rotate it, make it kind of fun. And now I can text in here, right? And with my text, just like any other text, when I highlight it, it's going to give me little options over here, or I can come back up here and I can change my font. I can change my size, right? And what you guys saw is with Excel, anytime you have a box like this, it's going to give me the option to free type. I can type in 20. I can choose 20 here. It's all the same. So then I can take my box, and as you can see, I can drag it anywhere I want or remove it, okay? You can do headers and footers. You can do word art, make it fancy. You can add a signature line. You can add an object. So this is how you're going to insert anything you want. There's word art. And just like pictures or anything else, I can drag and drop that anywhere I want. Okay. Your draw function is simply what it is. You're going to draw. I'll give you a really good example of where I use the draw function. On my next sheet over here, I created a little POR, right? So we all receive our purchase order requests. A lot of times we get them on the computer. Trying to be paperless, as I know a lot of companies are, to create something, print it out just to sign it, scan it, and send it back, a little ridiculous. So with Excel, there's a draw feature. So right here, if I need to sign this purchase order request, I can be in draw. I can choose my pencil. I can choose a pen, and then I can always change the color if I need to, but I can choose my pencil. And if you have a touch screen, I can sign with my finger. Okay. Whenever you use the draw feature, most importantly, you're going to notice I have the pen up, right? And then I try to click in a box and I can't. Nothing's happening. I'm getting frustrated and I'm drawing a bunch of lines. With the draw feature, when you're done, hit select, right? If you try to hit the pencil again, what happened? Colors, thickness, right? You double click it, you're getting the options. So you can't double click the pen to turn it off. You have to go right here where it says select. And then I can erase it, choose the eraser, just kind of drag it over what I want, right? I just want to erase everything I did, or remember, Control Z. Control Z will erase these. If you have a mouse and you're really good with your mouse and not a touchscreen, you can use your mouse to sign it. I'm not as good with my mouse as I am with my touchscreen, but it's the same thing. So that's where my draw feature comes in handy. And as you can see, we can highlight, you know, there's a lot of different tools you can do in your draw feature. And then obviously there's ink to shape, ink to map. Those are things that are going to be more in the advance. Page layout, this is your basic page layout. You have themes. You can change the theme of your Excel. You can change your Office theme if you want, right? You can choose your colors, your fonts, and your effects. You're really not going to be playing with these a lot. That's going to be more in our advanced. We'll learn more about themes. What you will be doing is your margins. If I click on margins, I can make them normal. I can make them wide. I can make them narrow. What margins are, obviously, see, I was back in the pencil. So with our margins, if I hit Control P, I like to do Control P a lot, and I could do a print or a preview, but Control P to me is faster because I love the shortcuts. I can see everything is kind of squished over. It's over to the side. Now I have nothing over here, but I can see what it's going to look like, right? So I can change my margins to be narrow, meaning I'm going to see more. I could do custom, right? So if and it even gives you a little picture here. If everything's not fitting on the page, you could just use these arrows. Make them bigger, make them smaller. So if you ever have something, and let's just go, I'm going to take E, Control C. I'm going to copy that whole row or that whole column. I'm going to go right here to F. Now I noted I highlighted F, Control V, I'm pasting it. I'm going to go right over here. And I'm going to Control V again. So, and you're going to notice this little bar down here. Believe it or not, a lot of people miss that. I had options. If I couldn't see, I could use my arrow keys, or this little bar takes it right over and it will show you what you're missing. Okay, just like down here, right below it, I can change how big or small that is. So I can change what everybody's seeing. So now if I hit Control P, I can see that everything fits, right? And you can obviously custom scale and do all of that stuff. But if it didn't fit, I would make my narrows or my margins narrow, or I would do custom. Okay. Orientation, I can make it portrait, I can make it landscape. That's simple. Now, what I do on this tab, please keep in mind, I'm on my spreadsheet tab. None of these changes for my margins or orientation are going to transfer to this tab. These are completely separate tabs. So just because I made this one narrow margins and I made it maybe landscape, this one's not going to come out that way. It's going to be however it was formatted. Okay. You have the size. You can choose the size of your paper. So if you're printing on some fancy piece of paper, you can. If it's going to be the executive and it's going to be a little, or a statement size, or even one of these, you can actually change how it's going to print. Okay. Your print area, this is one of my favorites. Sometimes I have all this information and maybe I don't want to print it all. So of this spreadsheet, maybe I only want to print the folio, the room number, and the guest name. I can, let's say I just want to take this, right? I just want to take this little square in time. I can go to print area. I can set my print area. Now look what happens when I hit Control P. Everything else is there, but it's only printing what I set my print area to be. That's really nice if you want to take just a little snippet of data. Okay, then I can go to print area and I can clear it. I can change my print area, right? Set it. Now it's going to be different. So I can change that around. Okay, so you have your page breaks. You can insert a page break, meaning obviously where you want the page to end. You can remove them. You can reset all the page breaks. You can add backgrounds. That's going to be adding an image in the background. That's going to be something that we can learn later on. But I can tell you when I create flyers, I love them to be fun and fancy, and I love putting pictures in the background. And that's just going to put a picture in the background of all of this. Okay. Print tiles. Basically, it's just you're printing your tiles. And then you can adjust your height, your width, your scale, grid lines, but you're really going to, on page layout, especially in the basic and intermediate, you're going to be living in here. This section right here, you're going to be changing your orientation, your margins, your size if you need, and print area. Formulas. Formulas are something that we're going to be learning a little bit in the class next week, but a lot in the class in July. But formulas are super simple. Never be scared by them. So you have your auto sum. I love auto sum. And I'm going to come back to formulas. Let me show you these, and then we're going to come back and we'll spend most of our time, the rest of our time on formulas a little bit. So data, when I click data, this is where you can go in and you can hover over these and get data. It's really not going to be something you're going to use. So in your data, you're going to be using your sort and your filter more than anything else. Obviously, our what ifs and everything in our outlines will be more with our graphs and our text to columns, but you're going to be using your sort and your filter. So I have this beautiful spreadsheet that I have, right? I have lots of names, lots of room numbers. They're not in order. Folio numbers not in order. Names aren't in order. Renewal date's not in order. Rate's not in order, right? I'm going to remove these two. If you want to delete, by the way, in Excel, I know this has come up a few times, at least people have come up to me. If I highlight them and just hit delete, it only deleted the words. My formatting is still there, right? It only deleted words. If you really want to delete an entire column, highlight them, right mouse click, delete it. Delete the entire column. If you highlight it and just hit delete, it only deletes the words. Your columns themselves and any formatting in them will not disappear. Okay, and then, oops, I messed up. Control Z, right? Control Z brings it all back. Unless you hit save and you close your Excel, you can 99% of the time undo what you've done. But for now, I want to delete these completely. So I have to delete. I can't just hit delete on my keyboard. So if I want to sort these, I can do it a couple of ways. I can highlight just a little bit of data if I just want to sort some data, right? So I want to take this bit of information right here, just these first 17 lines, because obviously my top line is my header row. I can go to sort, and Excel says, what do you want to sort by? Okay, do I have a header row? Well, I don't have a header row, and here's the reason why. I didn't highlight row 1. I highlighted it row 2. Row 2 is not a header row. So I would uncheck that box. If I left it checked, it would not sort this row because it thinks it's a header, right? So if I want to highlight by the header, I got to pick my header. Sort. Yes, my data has a header row. Sort the column by. Now, because I said it has a header row, Excel is reading this. Do I want to sort by my folio, my room number, my guest name, my renewal date, or my rate? Let's sort by my renewal date. Okay. Do I want it to be the cell value? So I generally always leave it on the cell value. Okay. The order number. A to Z or Z to A? How do I want it? How do I want to sort that renewal date? Okay. Now, if I just hit OK, it told me, hey, I'm just letting you know something's wrong, right? It's showing it's not finding something. Why? Because I have blank. So it doesn't know what I want to do. So Excel is going to stop me and tell me, do I want to sort anything that looks like a number as a number? Or do I want to sort the numbers and store it as text separately, right? What do I want to do? So it identified that there's an issue there. Okay. And now what it did is it left that on the top and it sorted my other folios for me. Okay. So another thing that you can do when you sort, again, you highlight, and I'm in this data tab. So if you're in home, you go right over to data, sort. It remembers, hey, I sorted this by my renew date. Add a level. I want to sort it by my renew date and my folio number because, oops, I really wanted to sort it by folio number and not renew date. So I can add this, right? Smallest to largest. I can also delete a level. So I can highlight this and I can remove it because I really didn't mean to sort by renew date. I wanted to sort by folio. So I can delete that and now I can sort by folio number, smallest to largest, hit OK. And look what it did. Now it had no problem with the 0 because the 0 is a folio number. Obviously, it had a problem when I was sorting it by renewal date because I chose something with no date in there and it didn't know what to do. But now I'm sorted by folio number. And I can go right back into sort. Just kidding, I'm going to add a level. Now let's sort by renew date. So I'm going to say, first, I want you to sort by folio number, smallest to largest. Then I want you to sort by the renew date. Oops, it has that 0 again. It's trying to figure out there's no data. What do you want me to do? And then it can sort it on multiple levels for me. Another way, if I wanted to sort everything together that you can do, and I use this one a lot, is your filter. So I'm going to highlight my entire row 1. I'm going to go to filter. And I'm sure a lot of us have had worksheets where you see these little arrows and maybe you're not sure how they got them on. That's all it is. I picked my header row. Again, I'm clicking my row and I hit filter. Yep, we have a chat. Give me one moment. Hi, Kat. All right. So we have our row filter. Now this is what it's saying I can do. I can now filter my entire worksheet. I can filter it by the folio number, smallest to largest, right? Sort, done. I can sort it by the room number, largest to smallest, done. Now the nice thing is it took all of the data. It took everything over there and it sorted. It didn't just sort this one column. With sort, you have to be careful because if I go to sort something, oh, I want to sort everything by the room number. So I'm going to highlight room number. I'm going to go to sort. It says, are you sure? There is a warning that pops up that says, are you really sure you want to do this? Because this is what Excel is saying. Because I've only highlighted this column, if I hit sort and I keep going and I sort by these room numbers, it'll sort these room numbers, but it won't take the corresponding data. It will then throw everything out of order. So now Kenneth is no longer in room 356. He could be anywhere because I've sorted these numbers. So my smallest room number is going to come on top. None of this is going to change. But Excel is a smart enough program that it's like, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to expand it? Or you can continue. Okay. But when you do the filter, remember it was you choose your row and you choose the filter. Filter is a smart function. It's going to know if I want to filter it by room number. Look, see how the name changed? It takes all of that data and it stays. So every row's data stays where it belongs. I could sort by my guest name. Oh, rooms without a guest. These are my vacant rooms, right? So if I'm doing some kind of a report and I have to sort by guest name, Remember, if I highlight rows and I just hit delete on my keyboard, I didn't really do anything. I didn't delete rows. So if I'm using if I want to run a rent roll, for example, right? And I just delete that, I still have the empty rows. Deleting on my keyboard deletes the data, but not rows or columns. I would have to highlight all those rows, right mouse click, delete it. I want to remove the rows. And again, if I mess up, Control Z. That simple. Okay. I can sort by renew date, and I can sort by rates. So what I wanted to show you, I know we've only got 15 minutes left. I want to get, I'll go a little bit into this, and we're going to go right back into those formulas, because I have a feeling that's where most of you want to spend your time. And then next week will be spent a lot on formulas and formatting. So in your review tab, if you're like me and your fingers are faster than your brain, it has a spell check. Now with Excel, if I were to click on, let's say, one little box here, or highlight a bunch of boxes, and I hit spell check, I can ignore it, same kind of spell check. It's going to say I'm complete because it only spell checked what I told it to. If I wanted to do it everything, I'm not gonna highlight boxes, right? Highlight it, spell check only for that. I'm gonna click on anywhere else, hit spell check, and now it's gonna do everything for me, which we're not gonna get into because these are guest names. But you can spell check in Excel, absolutely. Just make sure, like I said, you don't have anything highlighted, or it will only spell check what's in that box. You can use your thesaurus, the workbook statistics we're going to get into later. That's obviously right there, your charts and your tables. It's a beautiful function. It's a beautiful function. There's translations if you want, protecting a sheet, protecting a workbook, allowing edits. We're going to get into that next time. And then view is simple. A normal view, a page break view if you want to see where the pages end, right? Page layout, custom views. So never be afraid to go into Excel and just kind of play around with it and play around with these views. A lot of times you can go in here and you can go to page layout or page break and kind of see where your page is going to be and where it's going to end. I like Control P because I like to get a print preview. And yes, you can get it through here. Control P to me is just faster. And a lot of times when I'm working on spreadsheets, I love the cheats and the quicks because I'm all about quick and fast. Okay. So let's go back to formulas. So with formulas, was there anything in the chat? Nope. Okay, perfect. So with formulas, there are a lot here. And it can be scary, but I promise once you learn how to use it, it is not scary. One of the fastest formulas to use. Look at all these beautiful rates, right? You see these rates? I want to add them up. There's a lot of lines. There's 151 lines. There's a couple of ways I can add it up. One of the most common ways that most people know is if I were to grab these rates, and just for now, we have 2 people with 0 rates. Let's just remove them, okay? I can grab here, highlight it, bring it all the way down. And then while that's highlighted, if you could see at the bottom of my screen, and I know it's probably small for some of you, but do you see what Excel did for me? It summed it up. $49,531.03. Right down here, which is beautiful. What can I do with that? Well, if I just needed the sum for a report I'm writing or something else, I can jot it on my note paper. I can manually jot it here. Let me put it here. It disappeared, right? As soon as I clicked out of that, my beautiful little sum disappeared. Another thing that happens when you highlight all the data, it not only sums it, it counts it. I have 149 lines. And it also gives me an average, which is beautiful. The average of all of these rates I have is $332.42. But maybe I don't want to highlight everything because maybe not, instead of 149 rows, I've got 10,000 rows. Who knows how many rows I have? So I'm going to go to the bottom of my page and see this beautiful little weird looking E? That's your auto sum. It is going to be your most used feature in Excel. Click it. And Excel says, okay, just to make sure, I have the sum of E2 and E150. E150, obviously, E is our column, 150 is our row. If I go back up here, it starts on 2, so I can see it's grabbing all the data I wanted it to, right? I'm just going to hit enter. It summed it for me that quickly. Control Z undoes it. And again, I am in formulas. I have to click the box where I want it to formulate, right? Auto sum, E2 to E50, and I just hit enter. And it summed it for me. But these are dollar amounts. I want to make these dollar amounts. So I'm going to go here, and I don't have to scroll up. I can click E, and it's going to know I want everything in this row, right? I don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to click E, do a right mouse click. You've got some formatting of the cells. We're going to go into more of this next week because I realize we only have a couple of minutes, but I can do my number, currency, okay. There you go. I've got dollar amounts now. I'm starting to look like I have a spreadsheet, something that if I had to turn in, I can turn in. So your auto sum is going to be one of your most best used features. And then obviously you have recently used, so it'll show recently used. It's going to give me a list of all of my financials. So any of these that I want to use, a lot of them are going to be learning in the October classes, a little bit in the July, but I can add, look, my text, date and time, right? Add a date and time function, math and trig, and then all these beautiful functions. Most of them you're not going to be using for basic spreadsheets, PORs, and things like that. You'll use your auto sum, or you're going to use what we're going to go over next week a lot of is this right mouse click, formatting of the cells. Okay. If you're on your home screen, you're going to see right over here in the corner, that's your sum right there. Same thing. It's just a quick shortcut. Instead of going into formulas, you're going to hit sum. You're also going to notice you have over here, insert a cell, delete a cell, format a cell. So it's cheats of the same things that you do up here. It's just your quick. Inserting a row, if you need to, you just highlight the row where you want to insert it. I can go to insert, and it automatically knows I want a row because I clicked this row, right? Control Z, undo. Or column, sorry. If I want to insert a row, I'm going to click here, insert. It's automatically going to know because I told it I want a row in front of where I am. Control Z undoes it. Delete. It's going to delete whatever's highlighted. Control Z, let's undo that. But it's the same thing you can do if you want by highlighting it. They're just different sheets. And then of course, format. It's going to give you the same thing that I'm going to show you guys next week with the formatting of the cells, renaming the sheet, protecting the sheet, and all of that. So what we're going to go over next week is obviously, we're going to go over more of these formatting of the cells. We're going to learn how to change numbers, currency, dates, time, percentages, alignments and fonts and borders and fills, protections. We're going to go over some PORs, kind of get some real life, how do I total this, right? How do I get sums? How do I get totals? I have a complex POR. So we're going to go over how do we total sums up? How do we do tax? I'm going to show you real life how we format this because this looks horrible. Never turn in something that looks like this. How do we format that and make it look right? How do we sort? Maybe by our GL codes or our dollar amounts. So information that we can use and put into practice on things that you guys can do every day. Okay. Here is me. And I did it this way because I just wanted to show you. Remember how I said I love Excel? So again, I've got a picture here. I want it to look nicer for you. So I'm going to click on the picture. It automatically brings me right to picture format. I'm going to click on that. I want to be oval today. This is a text box. In a text box, I want to make my formatting bigger. So if I highlight the words, right away Excel says, what do you want to do, right? I would like a prettier font. I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can see it. I have a text box here. We learned a little bit about text boxing. I'm going to click on my text box. I can go to shape format, or while I'm up here, if I do a right mouse click, I'm going to go to my outline. I'm going to remove the outline. I just want it to look pretty. So that is me. That is who you've been listening to for the last hour. Thank you. This is my contact information. If you need to reach me, feel free to shoot me an email. You can reach out if you have questions. I understand our next class is next week. We go into, and I'll bring this back up again. In July, we're going to go over the intermediate stuff, charts, graphs, bars, things like that. And then obviously in October, we're going to be going over the more advanced Excels. However, if you need to do a chart or a graph or a bar graph, or there is something you need to do and you are stuck, please feel free to reach out. I don't mind helping. We can hop on a Zoom meeting. We can, if you have Teams, we can hop on Teams. You can share your screen. I have no problem helping anyone if they need it. Or if you feel you want a little bit more hands-on work with this, just let me know. It might have to be evening time or weekend time, but I don't mind giving you a little bit of my time, and then we can work on it as well. Okay. With that, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I thank you guys for joining me. Please remember, our next class is going to be next week. Same bat times, different bat channels, so make sure you sign up for that class because you're going to get a new link. And then we will go over more, like I said, we're going to start putting some of these formatting and how to do sums and adding tax, and we're going to do a lot of the formulas, and we're going to put it into some practical use on things that you guys see every day, things that you guys would have to do in real life. All right. With that, thank you guys very, very much, and have a great rest of your afternoon.